Howdy, everybody. This is Tansuke. We are back. I know it has been a while, about almost a month at this point. So we'll here chat up Legends of Runeterra, talk about why I was out and what happened while I was out, and then we'll go on from there. So, as I've been mentioning on the last few streams before I took my hiatus, we took a break because our baby came. We have welcomed our second child into the world, and we have been taking care of her for the last few weeks. So that has been a blessing to our family, and we are super glad. And as I'm sure many people are not shocked to hear, taking care of a baby is stressful and takes a toll on you. So we needed a few weeks to kind of get adjusted and figure things out. In fact, there's even a chance tonight, if something happens, I may need to go take care of something really quick. We'll see. But what matters is taking care of our kiddos. So, what I did have time to do during those weeks was play Legends of Runeterra, and I played a lot of it because it's a game you can kind of pick up and put down and do that in small bursts. So there was a lot of time for me to do Zoe. So, in fact, as of this week, I was able to finally finish every single Zoe clear, every single reward, all 64. So, we can go ahead and start talking about some of these. Let's kind of show off how we did. And I got a whole month of these, so we'll go through them as quickly as kind of possible. But yes. So, at the beginning of this break, I basically was saying, hey, let's go ahead and focus on doing as many hard characters as possible, ones that I think aren't the best or could have some issues or I don't like playing. And so Talia was on that list. Going through this run it took a couple of runs with Talia before I was able to get it going. I would say it took either 3 or 4 runs before I finally got the one that stuck. Um, and I was even trying various things. I think I had Icon of Vol here at one point, but that didn't cut it. Getting Talia out on the board ASAP was more important. So this build with Packed Powder and Swain's Raven Army was very helpful. And then Frozen Tomb, very good with Talia. The reason being, when you play her, you can copy it, and then you can end up with 3 Talias when they pop, and then just overwhelm the enemy with a whole bunch of her spells, or not her spell, but her level up effect, the Threaded Volleys. And so had a couple good things. I had home turf on this, which is always fun, and then it also had capture, which was super important for the Zoe fight because just starting out with them not having Poro King, great news. I also had quicksand with Thieves Gloves. Always love to see that, the being able to take away some of their keywords at critical times, and the fact that it was always in my hand was nice. Also had a pretty cool shape stone. You always get these two effects here, but adding in the draw and summon on effects were very nice, just to help fill the board, to help make units stronger, to do whatever you could, build a hand. All that's very nice. After that, I said, let's do somebody rough. And Jace was rough. This build did not change. I kept this build the entire time, but it took me, I want to say, 4 or 5 runs with Jace to finally play with him. It was hard. The biggest thing that I was running into was not ending matches. Once you developed a board, if you got to like turns 3, 4, 5, you were kind of in the clear. Problem is that this you don't always have that in this adventure. Sometimes you gotta really go fast. And so what did I do to get around that? I had perfected monoflow, and shared monoflow. So for those that are doing math, I had 6 mana on Jace on turn 1. Then I had renewing power and lighting the way. So what I could effectively do was play like a 3-cost spell to get lighting the way mana refund, then play a big spell to get the Jace or the renewing power activation off, and then that combined was able to just really let me slam spells. I could get several, and then if I had 6 starting mana and 3 spell mana, I could play 2 6-cost spells in a row. It was wild. to do that. In fact, if I had no spell mana, I could play a 6 cost spell. It would refund the spell mana and the full mana, so I'd have 9 mana, so I could play spells. That really escalated things. Those are the only 2 pictures I left of Jace? Oh, come on. Oh, okay, right. Yes, I included a picture here of all the 6 cost spells. With Jace, it really matters what spells you get. I had Vengeance, but what was really good was I had this Dawning Shadow, and I actually wish I had uploaded a picture of it. This Dawning Shadow, I know it had coin on it, and so once I cash back, you give 2 coins on play. So what would happen would be I'd play this spell, and I would get back a coin with 2 mana, 2 coins. But because I had Chemtech, I got 4 coins, and those 4 coins doubled to 8 mana. So if I got Dawning Shadow, I basically got another free 6 cost spell, and it was disgusting. Additionally, Dawning Shadow benefits from the Elixir Sorcery to double it because it doesn't need to kill the unit to reduce all their power by 2. So it was very good in that front. And that was finally getting Jace out of the way. That one was rough, and I was losing sanity on it. After that was Gwen. I figured I'd go for someone a little easier on the hard list. I was mostly worried about her not being able to snip the enemy nexus. When they're tough, when their nexus is tough, you don't really get to steal any health with the turret plating up. It was rough. So instead, I just started to run this build here. Disciple of Shadows is a no-brainer for 6-star Gwen. Black Shield is really nice too. And I got Voidborn Carapace here, and this really helped a lot. It gave me Deathless. It gave me basically permanently renewing Spell Shield, because unless they got rid of Spell Shield and played something on Gwen, if I had any of my units die, and reapplied Spell Shield. That was very nice. My support champion was Yasuo, and that actually was pretty good to give me a lot of options. Ionia has pretty good options to deny the enemy things to do. Like a Concussive Palm, for example, with the Brain Leech on it. Oh, good. I did. Did I have other? Yes, I had other pictures here. Excellent. Had some good powers. Domination, always great. And then Arcane Empowerment, it meant that I could actually get benefits from her snip. And then once the turret plating fell, it was disgusting, because then I would be doing Gwen's entire power as snips, which is very nice to heal your health up. I also had Yip's Genius, which is pretty good for the bands that you summon. I do love that. And the best defense is actually pretty good on Gwen, because it lets you use that Hallowed to really refill your unit's HP. Normally you're kind of squishy, so this was nice. Also I had a fun Shimmering Mirage here. This meant that I could have 3 Gwens on the board, and then once I had 3 Gwens, things got pretty wild pretty quick, because I could be snipping really hard. Also had a pretty nice Sapling Toss. These gloves on it was funny, and it really let me cycle my deck. Oh wow, I had a lot. Oh yes, because I had Voidborn Carapace, Darkwater Scourge was great too. It gave me lifesteal, another way that I could heal my Nexus, since the Gwen effect wasn't normally triggering every time. I also had Passage Unearned. This one's really funny to just kill all the Poros, if you get the option for that. And then this one actually was clutch in the final fight. It was Homecoming, which let me get rid of the landmark on the first turn and just wail on their Nexus before they could do anything. So that was Gwen. And then this was the last run before the baby came. So everything after this was when the baby came. Literally waiting for the surgery in the surgery room. I was doing Poro King. And started this run before the baby came and finished it after the baby came. Fun. Had a couple things that were really fun here. Yip's Genius and Perfection, always great to see. I had double Yip's Genius even, so my 1-cost Poros were great. Also, the free keywords from Prey to Predator were nice as well. I also managed to draft Frosted Snacks into my deck, so that was great to have, especially because it had doubling dice. There were a lot of times near the end, because I was also running Chemtech Duplicator, that if I got to 6 mana, I would get mini Frosted Snacks, and I could frostbite a bunch of units and get really strong. My support was Taker, which is great because that's an immortal person that can always just scale and get stronger. So, and actually ended up getting Power Riff on her too, which was a great offering. Oh yes, and of course Patty Poro. He had the spatula, so he was giving my Poros +2/+2, which basically meant every unit in my deck. That was great. All right. Next, Heimerdinger. Another opportunity for me to use Renewing Power. Heimerdinger is great for that. I went bold. I took Ascension's Toll on Heimerdinger. When I level up a champion, all players discard their hand. My mindset was, hey, how about I just get rid of their cards with Heimerdinger on the board? Because Heimerdinger's going to have the option to make and play more cards than the enemy. Because if I play a spell, I'll get 2 turrets. I had perfected Mana Flow, which helped a bit too. And that was this was a choice. I don't know if it was the best idea, but it did work. It did help that I had this beautiful Winter's Breath. Once I had 6 mana, this became an amazing way to kill their board because I could just duplicate it. It also would give me some mana, so that helped me ramp a lot of ways. Also had a fun Celestial Impact. The Grifter's deck plus the blowback is really, I think it's Unstable Formula. That was nice because I could obliterate a unit and then deal a ton of damage to something else. So that was really helpful. Sometimes I just use this to get rid of turret plating. Because I have Renewing Power, that means that I have the option to draft these kinds of big spells and not really pay any price. And of course, I managed to draft the MK6. Really important for Heimerdinger when you have these 6 cost spells that you're playing a lot. Drafting this is really nice, and you can see I even had the Sea's Fury, so when I played it, it was a lot of free tentacle spam. Production Surge is also funny when you're running Renewing Power, because you never know which kind of turrets you're getting, but it helped me fill my hand, so it was really nice. Heimerdinger went quite well. Thresh. Thresh took either 1 or 2 tries. It was not hard at all, very, not a lot to remember about it, frankly. The idea with the build is Oath of Guardians to fill your deck with champions, Cycle of Shadows to play Thresh on turn 1, and then the Succubus Brand to fill your board with husks. And then what you can do is, if you get another 1-cost card in your hand, you play your Wind in the Wave to get both the Prey and the Wind in the Wave. Get enough to play Thresh turn 1. Fill the board with a whole 4 husks, 3 husks, I think. And then play the 1-cost unit, and the 1-cost unit will kill all the husks. You'll level Thresh on turn 1. Oath of Champions activates, so you also get some chances for champions. And you attack with a leveled up Thresh. It's kind of a wombo combo turn 1. And I got some great items to kind of complement it. The double attack is huge. Overwhelm is great to complement the double attack. And then Spell Shield was really good on him. What got crazy was the Grander Plaza, because like I mentioned, I'm making husks. So that was quite nice, because then I could get a whole bunch of free stuff. Allied also have Hallowed, so I was really buffing the stats. The little buddies put an extra Poro in. And Cosmic Creator is always great, especially with all these husks. I was giving people all these husks an item that I could then use. My support was Spirit Blossom Mari, which is great. It means I'm drafting for plenty of spells and do weird stuff with your ally spells. And Ephemerals, which is great for Thresh anyway. The Wind in the Wings in the Wave. I actually did have the Shadow Totem, so I could summon more than one of them. Then I could end up with a whole bunch of units on the board for Thresh, so that was really helpful. And I had a 1-cost Homecoming, which with all the units I had, having the option to get rid of the landmark or a tricky unit as quick as possible, very useful to have. I also had a fun Steel Gale that had double Brainworm. So you're going to see me say it a lot whenever I cover these things. Brainworm is one of the best options you can get to deny your enemy cards. And that was Thresh. No real problems there. After that, I did Akshan. I started getting to this point I was through the hard champions, and now I'm going to these are ones that I can do, and I'm not that worried. Akshan was on that list. Akshan, he's real great. He's super strong. He can kill the board. He can wombo combo and go all out. My support champion was Samira, which was huge for this run because she also loves to buff and brush down the enemy. This Cosmic Creator was actually a mistake, probably, because I actually got Sweet Solitude twice, and I had Perfect Hex Core, and that meant that all these epic and rare items on my cards meant my cards were like duplicating, drawing things, doing stuff to the point where my hands were getting way too full, way too fast. And that actually was kind of detrimental. So be careful about picking up powers like Cosmic Creator. Even when they're great, they can come with a lot of downsides. I almost didn't get to play some important cards because my hand was full. My Samira did get quite crazy, though. You can see here having the double buffs when I play cards with Akshan's whole game plan of play cards. It's helpful. I actually messed up in my final battle against Zoe and could have done lethal, and it cost me 2 extra turns. But luckily, Akshan had enough power that that wasn't a problem. Vandal Balance is also hilarious if they play Catastrophe. I don't think I actually ever got to even play it, but having it and having the chance to get rid of a card with it would have been. Also was very important this match, actually. I got a lot of value out of Black Market Merchant. It actually stole some very important cards from the enemy, because I had plundered already that turn using his hook swing. And then also him being able to be cheap was good, because I could then play him more than once. But yes, that was Akshan. He went quite well. After this was Echo. My Echo run took 2 tries. The first one, I didn't do well. The second one, I hilariously high rolled the entire way through. There was 0 struggle in this second run here. I mean, look, I had perfected Mana Flow and Demonic Ascension as some of my early powers. Then I had Nightfall give Echo double attack and disarmed. Like, these powers are crazy, but then look, it kept going. This was my time trick. Look at this. Is this not disgusting? 2 sensors, an Ardent Sensor, and a Pyromantic Wake, and Heal My Nexus. I was buffing my cards like crazy. There were times where I was getting more power from my time tricks than I was from doubling the stats with the 6-star. Because I had Swain's Demonic Ascension to deal the damage to all enemies, Time Winder also became a menace. So the Time Winder, normally I believe this is 5 damage to 2 enemies. But with this Time Winder, man, with Demonic Ascension, that was 10 damage to all enemies. That was great. For 2 mana, most of the time that was super worth it. I have Sorcery. I could play a spell every turn like that. Slipstream helped me cycle my deck too, which is nice. And here's the funny thing. I had Fiddlesticks as my support, so I even had a 3rd win condition. If I had the Shallow Siren out, and I just played a whole bunch of time tricks, I could deck out the enemy. There were 2 or 3 battles in this run where I straight up decked out the enemy by just drawing them to death. So this run was something special. I also had Brainworm on Iterative Improvement, so I could take a copy of their card, put it in my hand, and get rid of a card in their hand. So that was great stuff. Man, that Echo Clear, super smooth. This one I was actually kind of dreading. I didn't think it'd be hard, but I thought it would take forever. And it's Morgana. And it did kind of take forever. But it was still a one and done run. I ended up getting Sorcery and Perfected Mana Flow. Those are both great here. Hold It is funny, especially on Morgana, where I already was locking them down, but then I could down. I had a nice Guile. Look at this Guile. 2 epic items to my allies. Beautiful. And it stuns the enemy, and it shackled them. And because I have Chemtech Duplicator, it could really stun them twice. It could shackle them twice. I also caught Bottled Constellation. If you see this card, you know you're taking it. This is no exception. We definitely take it. All right. My support champion was Senna. And she actually worked very well here because she had that Mana Crystal to refund her, so I could actually play her and Morgana early on, and that was quite helpful. She also, with these items, this was pretty good. She gave me another unit. She could scale with the Chemtech Duplicator spells, And she gave me a darkness, which I could then use to shackle an enemy. So she worked quite well. I was actually quite happy with her. I also had her support package, which included a lovely Dawning Shadow like this. Uh, Once again, with that Chemtech duplicator cashback combination, every time you see that is a Chemtech duplicator, that's going to be great because you know for 1 extra mana, you get basically all the mana you spent back because it gives you 8 mana for 7 mana. Beautiful. But that was quite nice. I also had Gift of Corruptions. Varus's 2-star rocked pretty well here. Giving me options to play my spells for cheaper was also quite nice. But I thought this would be harder than it was. It wasn't even hard. The Morgana rocked it. Evelynn was next, and I've actually barely used Evelynn with her 6-star. So this was kind of some of my first experience with it. I didn't change my build, and I didn't need to. I took 2 runs. The first run, I just kind of ran into some issues against, I believe it was Zoe. I lost against Zoe at the end, but I actually managed to continue to get the good stuff in the second run. I got Trifarian Might with Evelynn and Husks. Eventually, your Husks just start killing units when they spawn, which is great. Evolution is insane to pair with that because then you get a bunch of stats. And I even got Good Morning Grumpy too, which is from Talia. So I actually was able to get allies have +1/+1 and Overwhelm, which was an extra keyword for Evolution, and free stats. This was great. Also had some of the other fun stuff. I had Disarmed, which is great. I also got Lilia's power here, so my Husks had an extra spirit, extra stats, and they're always some without played, so their stats get granted to other people. I even had Epic Escapades, and I believe the card name is Domination. It does benefit from Epic Escapades, so this is actually quite good on her. I also had a great Eris, and so what would happen with Evelynn would be I would play Eris's until I had enough. So I think I mentioned it. Get extra mana flow somewhere. I had shared mana flow, so I could play Evelynn on turn 1, which is great. But I needed to have a Husk to level her up. Eris came in, so Eris had Farsight Alteration and Power Riff, which for those paying attention, that means, and with this Sphere stuff, this was an infinite on turn 1. Now, this infinite, I didn't have augment, so it wasn't like I scale to forever and then hit the Nexus and win kind of thing. But what it did mean was I could summon as many Erises as I wanted, hit the Nexus to get random Husks, and then, oh no, I lost my attack token. I play Evelynn. Evelynn heats a Husk and levels up. Tempest Blade, Crown Guard Inheritance. I get to attack again. So just like that, I could level up on turn 1 and attack twice on turn 1. So this was great. Also had a lovely Spectral Surveyor, which gives me access to that lifesteal. It gave me access to the landmark removal. An excellent unit. Whenever you see explorers in this adventure, consider it for the landmark. But yes, no, Evelynn went great here. This was a great run. Spirit Blossom Ari. This is my 60th clear out of 64. I did not like Ari. Spirit Blossom Ari was not my bag of chips. She was not my cup of tea. I owe her an apology because I finally understand her 6-star. I did not have her 6-star up until very, very recently when the Spirit Blossom Champions event came back, and this kind of run really let me see what she can do with it. That was what was really great. So the biggest thing that I was able to get, I had Stabilize. So with Stabilize, if I play Ari, I get 2 Aris. With Spectral Scissors, I could duplicate a bunch of the spirits I was playing, and then get all the mana back that I spent. That was super nice. In fact, I have Archangel staff here. I'm pretty sure this was a wasted relic. If you have her 6-star, you may not even need this anymore to play big spells because you're just going to have passively a lot of mana left over. So this was actually great. Loved that. I finally had fun playing her, and that was nice because I hated playing her. Getting Grander Plaza Evolution, and those always help. Disarmed Greatness Adventure, Calm Before the Storm really let me play a bunch of cards for cheap, even the big ones. That was super great to see too. Having a nice cheap crumble with Farsight Alteration for 2 mana, very valuable, honestly. And I believe you can destroy a landmark with that. Yes. Unworthy Soul was also quite nice. I had the Thieves' Gloves on it, so I could get it for cheaper, but I could also just play it because Ari can really kind of get back that mana super quick. And so that was nice. But yeah, I owe her an apology. That went well. Now, I started doing Annie runs after this, and let me tell you, those went awful. We'll get back to Annie at the end. I was initially going to say, hey, I'll save the most recent 3 champions for the 3 final clears, but I gave up. So here's Alawi. Alawi was one and done, super smooth, no problems whatsoever. I had a lot of great things going for me here. Having Inheritance with her 6-star means those copied tentacles can buff the cards in your hand really quick. Very nice. Hold them off to frostbite people, giving an epic and rare item to the tentacles. These were all awesome things. As you can also see here, I also had Scout on Alawi and double attack. This is a disgusting combination with her. And so what you can do is do a full swing with Alawi and tentacles and any other units. Alawi levels up, so you get a second attack. Then you do the Scout to do a second attack, and then you do a third attack. So you get to triple the tentacle stats on Alawi with double attack. You can imagine why this match went really quick once I started getting all that. This one was definitely more of the champion than the powers here. These powers ultimately didn't change a lot. And to make sure I drew my Alawi, I had this monster. Look at this. 3 champion draws for 2 mana. I am guaranteed my champion. That was my Alawi. That was wonderful. Look at this disgusting answered prayers. This is what makes the Alawi runs smile. My Ash was actually really good. Look at this Ash. She had Power Riff, so I could play her for really cheap. If I played the Answered Prayer, I could play her for free because I would have drawn 3 cards extra. Extra attuning and quick attack. All this kind of meant that I could also level Ash really quickly because of her 4-star power with the Enfeebling Strike. That counts. And it counts on units right before you kill. Even if you kill them, it still counts as reducing their health, their power to 0. So my Ash leveled up all the time. So that was a fun run. After Alawi, I did Udyr. Udyr came in. Udyr was quite good. This should be a shock to nobody. This was a one and done kind of run. Managed to get the Udyr on turn 1 build with Packed Powder, Sway's Raven Army. And of course, a secret technique to double the stats of his stances. I also managed to get the blue buff, which is a wonderful thing to see because then you can get that free mana when you strike a unit. So that was wonderful. I could play even more stances without worrying. Double attack, the Shadow Totem to double it. All this kind of makes sense of you just go all in on Udyr and you just run them down like Man, Bear, Pig that you are. Also had Shaman's Call, giving me an extra mana crystal was very nice to help me just kind of really ramp up super fast. My support champion was Nami, and she went quite well, actually. She was quite nice. Having a tune was never bad with this because you could use mana. If I didn't draw Udyr, I wasn't upset because she was playable here. I also had a fun wording stone where it was basically always free. And extra mana gems aren't bad, so I took that. My Volpine Wanderer was also very common in there, but luckily I didn't draw him too many times. If anything, I was putting items on him so I could have a chance to cut him, and it just didn't end up happening. But yes, I ended up having 10 Volpine Wanderers. All right. After Udyr, I had 2 champions left. I had Zoe and I had Annie. And which one did I do first? I did Zoe. Yes, I should have done Zoe against Zoe as the final person. I understand that. That is my mistake. but whatever. We did it. It took me 2 or 3 tries with Zoe, and it was I was not getting it. It just wasn't working on the first run. And then the second run, I got duplicate, and then everything just kind of escalated from there. Got a ton of power. You can even see here, I didn't even have a lot of items on Zoe at the end. I just had these gloves and blue buff. But having duplicate really ramped that up because then I could have 2 Zoes, less risk because one of them could die and it wouldn't be a problem. I could play spells for free, the first spell for free. I could frostbite enemies. I could play cards for cheaper. I really went all in on let's play cheap cards and really kind of slammed them to level up Zoe quickly. I was going for that kind of playstyle, and it finally worked out. Especially because I had this bottle of Constellation, so I could really play a bunch of cheap cards and then get all my mana back, and then do it all again. My super cool star chart, I drafted it in the adventure, so every time Zoe attacked, I got a 0 cost that would give me a rare item and an epic item. Love to see that. I also got Emperor's Prosperity with the Power Rift, so whenever I drew that, I could just quickly draw more. So that's really helped me fuel my deck, fuel my hand. Have a lot of cards to play to level her up quickly. I also had a wonderful Crescent Strike, having the option to stun enemies at fast speed and then predict, manifest, draw a champion, and invoke. Basically, it was the everything card. It was everything I needed. The only thing it was missing was being cheap, and we worked around that. Also had this astral projection, and because I ended up having the Lux power to refund mana, this actually got a lot of use. So I could play Zoe, get 3 mana off of Hidden Tome, then play astral projection to get that mana back. And so this was a very free early invoke. But yeah, so we went well. Now, Annie. Annie took me a good number of tries. I was losing my mind. I couldn't figure it out. Things were not working for me. I'm not already not familiar with Annie, but we ended up working around it. But what ended up working super well was I needed Whirling Blade. But I didn't have Whirling Blade, so I had an Epic Relic this week on Monday, and I got Whirling Blade. And that meant everything fell into place. So this is the build that I think you should run on Annie in this adventure, and it is wonderful. Echoing Spirit and Whirling Blade together is insane. It lets you play your Disintegrates for free, spam them on as many units as possible, and then attack with Annie or play Annie, and then just wipe the whole board at burst speed. They can't do anything about it. It was wonderful. Oh, I loved it doing this to the enemy. It was so fun. I also had Grand General's Counterplan to put an extra Disintegrate into my hand every turn. I had Annie out, which was helpful. It also put Annies in my deck so I could really cycle them and kind of control the enemy that way. And so I also ended up with Embrace the Current, which meant all my 1-cost spells, my Guiles, even the free Disintegrates, were giving me mana back. So I could then just keep spamming spells all the time, stabilizing to get more Annies, and then the free attack meant I was doing a bunch of free little chips. Oh, this was so good. And then near the end of the run, I ended up getting Brainworm on Disintegrate. So not only was I wiping their board, I was killing their hand, I was drawing, and I was refilling my mana. This was a disgusting run. Once again, Emperor's Prosperity to draw more cards. Always get this thing. If you have Power Rift, this is a free card. Take it. Also had a lot of stuff on Death's Hand. I was tempted to cut Death's Hand, but I'm glad I didn't. It ended up working out pretty well. It also gave me a chance to play some big cards, which was helpful. And yeah, this was my final clear. With it, I am now finally at 64 out of 64. This means that I have now finished all the rewards for the Zoe adventure, and I no longer have to see this massive scroll down every time I go through. See, hey, fastest run and most healthy run. So, where does that leave us on the stream now? So for the last 3 months, this has basically been the main thing I've been doing. try Zoe runs or practice for Zoe runs. But now we're all caught up, so I have a couple options. I could get every champion to level 50. I could clear every adventure with every champion. I could go into troll builds and troll runs. I could also stretch myself and try Defiance. Or I could try to beat Zoe with 3-star people. I can tell you it is not going to be that last one. So what I'm going to be doing going forward is we're going to focus more on builds, going to focus more on in-depth on champion. What I'm probably going to do is I'm going to do something akin to spinning a wheel, and I will clear every 5-star adventure with that character. So that would mean doing Zoe, but I've already finished Zoe with everybody. Finishing Nagakoboros, finishing Viego and Fiddlesticks, and then it would also include doing the Lysandra and the Swain adventures. And then down the road, we could always look at doing more adventures beyond that. But for now, I'm mostly just thinking World Adventures and Nightmares, and then we'll work our way back down. Whenever a new adventure comes out, we'll focus on clearing those people first. That way we can, get them out of the way, but also get a lot more fun with the new adventures.